Hello and welcome to the So Hip at Megahertz training tutorial. Today we are going to learn how to create a studio lighting setup in Maya. Now I'm going to be using Maya 2009. For those of you who have 2008 or earlier versions, you should be able to follow these instructions just fine, although the navigation might be a bit different. Now, one of the few things that we're going to be covering is proper composition using final gather and mental ray area lights. Now with that said, make sure that you do have mental ray loaded. It comes with Maya for almost every version, as if I recall. To check if it is currently set, you go to Window, Settings and Preferences, and Plugin Manager. Simply scroll down till you see the hold on here. The Maya to Mental Ray bundle. Make sure that's loaded and set to auto load. And you should be able to choose it from your render settings here. Alright. So, first things first is that if you have your model, the thing that you want to light properly. For this tutorial, I assume that you've got some sort of small table object that you can use, and for this case I'll create some random abstract spindle. So let's go to polygons, create polygon primitives helix. Alright, you'll have to bear with me. I'm doing this tutorial on a Macintosh without any mouse. In fact, I'm using a trackpad, so I don't have a middle mouse button, which allows me to quickly track around with my camera. So you might see me actually going into here to navigate around from time to time. But simply, if you want to move around, you hold down your Alt key, click to drag, right click to zoom, and this is when you hold down Alt and your middle mouse key to track, which allows you to do this. So let's just quickly finish up my coils. Okay, apply a little bit of a deformer. Now, I'm just doing this for demonstration purposes for the studio light-up, but you can quite literally choose anything you want for these purposes. Alright, so here's what I guess could be some sort of art, maybe a pencil case holder, something useless like that. So here's our object. And we want to light it. So first things first is you want to create some sort of a backdrop. Now, it kind of depends on how far you move it and how steep the curve is and all those factors. But you can play around with that on your own. I simply just like to create something simple off the bat just to get my rough lighting set up, and then change it as needed. So first, what I like to do is hold down X, which will snap it to the grid here, and click your first point, and still holding down X, click it again, and you create your curve, like that. Make sure it goes all the way to the top there. Alright, when you're done, press enter, and you now have this curve, which we will now subsequently duplicate and loft to create a form of a sheet. Now, Control D to duplicate, drag over here, shift select both items, go to your surfaces subset, go to surfaces and loft, and make sure you press 3 for the highest display. There you have it, your kind of backdrop. And if you ever need to change it, you just select both curves. Make sure you don't have the actual geometry selected, and go to curve point, or rather control vertices, vertex, and control vertex again. Control vertex, whatever, and you can, drag it up and down or change whatever you need to do. Now, my methodology consists of 2 segments: creating main lighting via spotlights and such, and tweaking it there, and then giving supplemental lighting, filler lighting, environment lighting via final gather. Now you can substitute the final gather with, say, an HDR image that you can get from a free resource off the web, and plug it in through the render options here, which you'll notice have been kind of redesigned from the ground up for 2009, but most of the options remain the same. They've just been reorganized. But I like to go with the final gather method because I get more finite control on what goes into my environment. So, go to Create, Lights, Spotlight, and go to Panels, Look Through Selected. Focus in on your subject. Okay, that's about right. Tweak the settings. We want to give this a nice soft fall off. So put the penumbra angle up to 10. Actually make that 20. Under shadows, we want to use ray trace shadows. And now this is the fun part. We get to enable mental ray area light. Now the reason why I didn't go with an area light right off the bat and chose to go with the Maya spotlight is because you get a very sharp fall off, that is, with the light only goes 180 degrees around from the node, and that can make rather harsh angles sometimes. So with the spotlight, I get more control over the fall off and helps create that soft studio diffused light. So that's all set out. Oh, I also won't be using global illumination or caustics. So if you do want to have glass in your scene and you want to emit caustics, my suggestion to you is to create a spotlight that emits, a new spotlight that emits no light and just fires photons only, or rather caustic photons only, and do it from there. And that should speed up your render times, actually, doing it that method. Alright, so let's see how this looks first off. Should look pretty basic. Let's find, actually, how we want our final composition to look. That looks right. So we'll create a bookmark under File, or rather View, Bookmarks, Edit Bookmarks, New Bookmark. And so now, no matter what I do with this camera, I can always bring it back to that original view. Alright, pretty basic. But we do have our soft shadows kicking in, and we do have that nice fall off. Actually, hold on, I've got ahead of myself here. Since we are going to be using Final Gather, say, for my purpose, we're going to be using a chrome reflective surface. It's pretty important that you have some sort of diffuser card, and basically we'll be parenting a polygon plane to this spotlight, and we quite simply rotate